I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
That was the best pledge we've ever had. in this short meeting. Roll call, Joe.
Jeremy McCart,
Here.
Bernie Paparad.
Here.
Roseanne Bozak,
Here.
Travis Dunlap,
Present.
Gordon McCormick,
Here.
Michelle Watkins,
Here.
Aaron Adcock.
Here. Approval of minutes, July 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second? Any discussion? Roll call, Joe.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins, Gordon McCormick, Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. So a couple things. One, we do not have first off, I'd like to welcome Michelle Watkins. It's her first meeting with us. So welcome. Our attendance increased by tenfold and that's outstanding. In addition, we still do not currently have a vice president. We need to address that.
Make a motion that we have Aaron Adcock, even vice president.
Okay, so a motion. Second. Any discussion? Roll call, Joe.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. The next thing is September meeting. I just want a clarification while everybody else is here. I want to wait till the end if people are gonna move and leave prior at any point in time. So our meeting would be scheduled for September 2nd, which will be the first Monday, which is a holiday. So with everybody else's approval, I'd like to move it to the second Monday of the month, which would be September 9th. Just in case there's any continuations or anything else, I want everybody here clear when that meeting is, and there's no question about it. Are we in agreement?
I'm good with that.
September 9th will be the next plan.
Correct.
And we'll still be at 6 o'clock.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Make a motion to move to recess and reconvene in 10 minutes at the Burns Harbor Fire Department meeting room.
Second.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Give me a second. No one has the floor here. Okay, so I have a motion and a second discussion. For discussion, what I'd like to say is we had to begin the meeting here regardless, because this is the advertised place. We searched out trying to go to a different venue. And the problem we were gonna have is that we weren't gonna be able to require the legal obligations for this meeting, okay? Everybody that said that we couldn't plan a plan commission meeting, know that we took every step we could. The Burns Harbor Fire Department meeting room can seat 53 people currently as it's sat, which I think will be a lot more comfortable for those that are here than the current arrangement. So we had to start the meeting here. I have a motion, a second discussion. We're gonna do roll call here in a second, but then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a 10-minute intermission and we'll start the public hearing there. Everybody that's here, we're gonna be able to provide more room for everybody. I don't know that it's completely adequate, but it's the best thing that I have.
Thank you.
But
Get everybody to hear.
Aaron Adcock,
Yeah.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yeah. So.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. So just so everybody's clear, the meeting room at the fire department is on the northeast corner. This trail will actually walk you right to it. There's a door on the outside. The only thing, give us 5.
don't wanna see me.
Could you let Mary get down here? Someone's gonna come up behind you. Sorry, I'm just letting someone through.
She's cuter than me. You'd like to have her next to you.
Yeah, I was calling to tell you I have.
I'm here.
I've been calling Lindsay, but she's not answering.
Oh.
She's being.
Does she not understand that?
Well, I don't play games. You, her, my husband, I'm John.
Hey, Jeremy. Sure. Do you know what the password is here? Should I connect to it or should I stay connected to the jetpack? It should be good. How do I turn it on? Anybody okay there?
Roll with it.
Okay.
It's everywhere else in Burns Harbor.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We're gonna start the public hearing here for the first one very shortly, but I wanted to address a few things first, and this is from our county code. This is in regards to when you have your opportunity to speak. Persons addressing the commission, each person who addresses the commission shall do so in an orderly manner and shall not make personal, slanderous, or profane remarks to any member of the commission, staff, or the general public. Any person who makes such remarks or who utters loud, threatening, personal, or abusive language, or engages in any other disorderly conduct which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting may be subject to being barred from further participation in the meeting. Individuals speaking are asked to keep their comments focused on the application and to avoid repeating comments previously made by others. Members of the audience, no person in the audience shall engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the uttering of loud, threatening, or abusive language, or any other act which threatens to disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. During a public hearing, all members of the audience who wish to speak will be given an opportunity to speak. Enforcement of decorum, the presiding officer shall request that a person who fails to abide by these suggestions be orderly and silent. If a person persists disturbing the meeting, the presiding officer shall order him or her to leave the meeting. If such person fails to remove him or herself, the presiding officer shall request that a town of Burns Harbor police officer remove the individual from the meeting. I would very much hope that none of that has to happen and that we can all have a great conversation and work whatever differences are that's going on here and come to a solution that hopefully everybody's happy with. Yeah, there are 2 empty chairs. Or 1. So I'm gonna open the first public hearing, which is in regards to the zoning district. And this is not, this specific public hearing is not in regards to the rezoning of the parcel, but the zoning district itself. Okay, so first off with this, just so you guys know, understand the order of this, is that there'll be just. We are technically, it's our order. So, we will have a discussion in regards to what the ordinance looks like currently. After we speak about it, at that point in time, I will let everybody know when public comment is gonna open. When we open the public comment, first, we'll have anybody that wants to speak in favor. And then as soon as that is completed, then we will hear everybody that wants to speak in opposition. Keep in mind that there's gonna be 2 separate public hearings. So if you really wanna speak to the other thing, that's fine. Whichever one you want, if you need to speak on both, we're here, okay? We're a packed room, we're gonna limit everybody to 2 minutes when we're talking. Cause if you guys can all look around, I'm sure that runs us into wee hours in the morning and everybody uses all their time. But hopefully, some of our discussion will answer some of your questions as well. Because I can assure you that members of this board have questions as well. So with that. Who wants to start? So, I guess I'll speak. I got an updated review from Global in regards to the zoning ordinance. Can you elaborate a little bit on some of the thoughts and explain maybe some concerns that you brought to our attention?
Sure. My name is Sean Polito. I'm with Global Engineering and Land Surveying. I have with me Jeanette Hicks, she's our professional engineer. And I have Jeff Altman, he's a registered landscape architect. And myself as the president of the company.
You don't have mics, we can't hear you.
Louder.
Okay. I would repeat, my name is Sean Polito. I'm with Global Engineering and Land Surveying. Everybody can hear that? Yes. And this is Jeanette Hicks, and she's the professional engineer of the company. And this is Jeff Altman, he's the registered landscape architect. We all collaborated to actually come up with the comments based on the town request of reviewing the proposed ordinance. Everybody can hear me? Thank you. You all. Some of our comments, actually, it's based, and I'll let Jeff probably speak on some of the comments that is specific to the proposed ordinance. The proposed ordinance has some clerical issues, some minor, and there's some suggestion based on a review that we have. San Joseph County in Indiana have a very similar ordinance, and we kind of tried to mimic what they allow and what not allow. In addition, we reviewed the actual legal description as well for the entire land parcel that is proposed. And we have comments on that as well. I'm not quite sure if you received that comment. That was actually today, I printed it out. Let's see. No. Sorry, the legal description is for the next public hearing. Okay. This is. If you want to speak on some of the items that I like.
I guess the, like, Jeff, this looks a little very,
Louder.
Some of our review of similar case studies of St. Joe County has they did an ordinance for something, not exactly like a data center, but
Hey, guys, we all need to be able to hear them, and if other people are talking, we're not gonna be able to.
We got a lawnmower going on, there's people talking about it, honestly, we're having a hard time to see your name. Yeah.
So let me summarize, I guess, the comments. I mean, I hate to there's 10 comments and a lot of comments or at least correction on the proposed ordinance. I will summarize it that we are recommending some prohibition to the ordinance itself. So some prohibition use that is should be prohibited for this zone, for this. I'm gonna try to summarize it as much as I can, but those are probably the most important comments that we have for the ordinance itself. So the prohibited use within the SD8, which that's the proposed special use district, which is 8. Technology use special district, the following uses should be prohibited with SD8. One, the production and storage or warehousing of batteries or battery materials. Coal burning power plants, renewable energy generation system, cellular towers, or other wireless telecommunication facilities not associated with the data center. Any use with create nuisance in excess of definition of the light industrial, which is actually defined in the zoning code as it stands right now in section 15-2-2, 103. Those are really the major, at least the major comments that we have for now. We added development standard that is based on the town development standard. We are trying to actually assume that this is a light industrial. So we are trying to mimic the zoning for light industrial. So all the development standard that we have as an existing for the town, that's what we are recommending to meet. I think that's probably in a very condensed way. I'll be glad to answer any questions if there.
My first thing that stands out to me is that this zoning district appears to have a allowable building height well exceeding anything else in Burns Harbor. As a matter of fact, it's double what anything else is in Burns Harbor. While there's buildings that stand greater than 60 feet, they stand that way after obtaining a variance. And I guess my problem is going through some of the other uses that show that they're permitted within the zoning district would be that we allow an office building as a permitted use as indicated. So we'd be able to potentially in that zoning district, the way it's written, somebody could build a 12-story office building without any variance or review as far as, I know we're sitting in the fire department, but there'd be no review by the fire department. And that specific thing, to me, I have an issue with. In the past, if anything, like I said, anything exceeded that height that is allowable in the other districts, a variance would have to be obtained and it would have to by the Court of Zoning Appeals, and then it would be reviewed. So I don't know how everybody else feels about that. I feel like this ordinance kind of just rubber stamps that, and if the office building wasn't in there, I wouldn't feel as bad about it, but because our 75-foot ladder truck helps somebody in a potential 12-story office building. That's my first question. I guess my other thing that is the setbacks that are proposed in this district. If like we describe it as actually like a light industrial.
Trying to figure out how to do it, sorry.
That is correct.
Somebody's got their volume up, you're feeding back on yourself.
Wait, I'll be- No,
Somebody's streaming the meeting in
that's the audio for.
Audio visual.
It's whoever's listed as iPhone 2, they need to mute their Zoom.
I turned it off, so
Hey,
I don't know if it was my. I don't even know how to mute them.
You guys see it?
They updated. See it. Anywhere.
Can you click to mute people? Yeah. Just this one right there. That's the one that's loud. There, I do. Got it. 37 people.
Okay.
I can't see it. Todd, did you have any input on some of the stuff sorry been spoke about? Or?
So as far as the height is concerned, if the concern is office buildings, then as a representative of the data center developer, we would suggest you take out office buildings
Okay.
from the allowable uses.
Okay, I mean-
But we're looking for the height, that potential height. I don't think we're gonna require it or go there, but we want that.
Excuse me, my opinion should take his mask off so we can understand what he's saying.
Well, he's addressing us, and I
I'd like
apologize.
to be able to hear it too, please.
Okay,
Whether it's a 120-foot tall building or an office building, it's still 120 foot tall. The setback is either 15 or 25 foot from the property line based on what they're considered front and rear.
great.
That's 25 feet from somebody's house with a 120-foot tall building.
I guess my question then, Shem, is in situations like this where you describe this potential zoning similar to light industrial. What would, I mean, we're setting this next to specifically all the residents that live on Castle Street. And they have backyards facing directly to this. I'd be a little concerned too if I had a building potentially 25 to 50 feet off my back lawn. I guess, is there a standard that may address where we have, is there anything else that you could think of similar as far as a change in zoning and what we do there?
So there's, Mr. President, there's two issues actually with the height restriction. One is the issue of fire, and with the fire, we probably be able to fight fire if God forbid there's a fire. The second issue is the setback itself for failure of the building or something happened to the building. The setback that we are recommending is 50 feet, light industrial is 60 feet high. And my understanding, the fire truck is close to probably 75 feet flatter. So we are recommending a 60 feet height that allow for the two issues, which is firefighting, because the town does not have any fire truck that is higher than 75 feet. The second issue is the setback, which is 50.
Years ago, the planning commission used to be a 300-foot buffer zone between an industrial type business or commercial and residential use. I don't see that in here anywhere. No 300-foot buffers. Now, that may have been changed. I can't access the town code to look at here, and I haven't entered it. But my biggest problem is 120 foot tall, whether it's an office building or a cement building, it's still 120 foot. We don't have the fire equipment, and I don't want to hear the excuse we have mutual aid. So I know what'll happen. We need a bigger fire truck, and we're all gonna pay for it. Do we need special equipment because the equipment's inside that building, electrical fires and such? I don't have an answer. And thirdly, I'll put this out now, when they bought this property, being in Worthington, 34 years ago, it was zoned residential. In August of.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on a second. I think you're getting off into the second public hearing and not this public hearing. And I think what you're about to say is absolutely perfect content for the next public hearing, which is the consideration of the rezoning of the property, but not necessarily the development of the zoning district.
When we do the zoning district, what I have to say is worthless.
Zone commercial.
But landscape.
It's been that way
Go ahead.
for 60 years.
Go ahead,
Finish?
sure.
All right, in 19, the town looked at the comprehensive plan, and what did they have nothing to say about it? It is zoned residential, just like it was when they bought the property. And now we want to put this district in there before we go for rezoning? That is backwards.
Thank you. The people who want to build in there, if they're gonna
Hey,
build.
okay.
Hey,
We're not gonna-
What are you?
We're gonna operate,
We came here.
hey,
Result.
I'm gonna warn you now, and then after that, you're gonna be
How
removed.
about you? You're yelling.
Because I'm trying to operate this so that everybody has an opportunity to speak their piece. Right now, you're interrupting that.
It's been.
Okay, we are not to public comment yet. You'll have your chance to speak, but we're not there yet.
You're only allowing us 2 minutes, you're gonna have to open it a whole lot of things we need to talk about.
And you're using up some of the time. Do you have anything else, Gordon?
At this point, no.
Travis, anything on the zoning?
Specific to, that technology district, or rather I would, question the purpose of special use being pre-existing uses and building types as opposed to the use, being used for certain purposes as defined in section 12. Is there a need to create a whole new district or add to like industrial, the potential data centers?
Louder?
Can't hear you.
I don't know if that language doesn't carry, but is the whole purpose of a special district for tax type benefits, and could it fall under light industrial?
Do you have knowledge on that?
I don't, I'm sorry.
So I think, like, basically what we're kind of asking is this even necessary to create? Or would a modification to one of our current zoning districts be more appropriate? If it were even to be allowed, I'm not saying it where we're at. But does this already, like, it's being described as light industrial, but we're creating this whole new thing. Specific to allow this data center on one section of property.
What I can say, I guess, so the review of the proposal ordinance, it was having toward us as proposal. My point, I guess, that it's, if you have a building that high, or if you have a process of data or a process of some sort, it acts like a technology or a light industrial. It is very similar in nature in a way, but maybe a specific to technology as San Joe County did. It's a technology district, well, so I can see it both ways, you know. It could be added to the light industrial with the same language, with the same standard. Otherwise, it's a zone by itself. If I correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. And looking at the special use districts within the town already, there's 7. And the desired use for the data center did not fit into any of the other special use districts. So we would have to either amend one of those other special use districts to allow for this, or the proposal was just to create a brand new special use district or data centers. So that's the route. You have to go all the way to the other.
Deep down, just that is the creation of this, in essence, because if we had a data center, so let's say light industrial, to prevent every current light industrial district from just popping up a data center.
Something to read it.
Is that
Yeah,
exactly something that could
yes.
happen if quite
It
well, as opposed to modifying a current zone?
And just for clarification, this first public hearing is just to create the district within the town, not a specific location. The second public hearing, which has not even started yet, would be for this specific site. And I guess I would invite Attorney Tom Mead or the representative for the developer, if you want to speak to these issues, I guess, the data centers in general, to educate the commission, the public about what you intend to do with your operations?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Todd Lee. I apologize. I apologize for wearing the mask, but it's CDC recommendations. Nobody wants me to take this mask off more than I do. So I apologize. I will speak as loud as I can.
You want me to, I know that you are addressing the commission, but I think also you just want
Sure.
to face the flags perhaps, so.
We'll try and do it this way. Again, I apologize. With regard to the ordinance, when we approached the town with the proposal to locate a data center, we looked at the zoning ordinance and determined that there was nowhere in the ordinance where that was allowed. And that doesn't surprise, I don't think, anyone. Data centers are kind of a new thing, and zoning ordinances haven't caught up. So we immediately thought of a planned unit development. And your ordinance doesn't really drive or allow for that. So then we were faced with how do we create a district that allows it? And it seems to me that rather than trying to put that into another district with the development standards that follow that district, let's create our own special use district and create development standards that apply to that. It's also my opinion that if you have a zoning district with only one use, that's not a very good planning solution either. So the proposed ordinance has a multitude of other uses that kind of fit in a technology district. And so there's a whole list of allowable uses under the ordinance. And of course, we added data center. So that's how we got to where we're at now. My work with your attorney to kind of draft this proposed ordinance. But the real challenge was to create something that was specific to data centers and to the other uses that fit closely with it. But if we tried to use an industrial district, I don't think a data center is industrial. It's certainly not commercial. So we try to create something unique. And I think the circumstance requires it to be unique.
Bernie, got anything?
Yeah. When we were talking about building height. And you said something over there, if we would cut down to 60 feet, would that? You were talking like you didn't like just 60 feet, we wanted to be.
We want the flexibility to go higher.
Okay, so if we're gonna think about cutting it down to 60 feet, that might kill the whole thing.
60 feet would kill a hole.
Ma'am, we're gonna get to public comments super shortly.
Well, then tell him to quit talking in circles.
That's good.
Okay,
Good, shit, all right.
hey, just to summarize, Gordon,
Yes,
when you talk about a 300-foot setback.
Yeah.
You would want a 300-foot setback on any of this potential zone that bordered residential, correct? Like if it had any bordered residential, you'd want a 300-foot setback, is that what you're?
I would like a 300-foot setback, however, I'm not gonna go and say that, that's not gonna pay my life.
I understand that, but all I'm just trying to get what,
And once again, we go industrial, we go light industrial on this instead of this special district. Wellington's gonna hop right across that road, expand their plant,
and
guarantee it.
that was one of my other concerns with the light industrial permitted
Exactly.
use.
And,
So can I throw out an idea?
That,
Right now, the setback in the SD 8 is proposed at 50 feet. That's one of your highest setbacks.
Okay.
But I also recognize that the 120 is significantly higher than your other house. How about the setbacks be be related to height. So in other words, 50 feet get to 60 feet height. But if we go to 100 feet, we can go to the 1 point.
Sir, I'm sorry, but you keep telling me to be quiet, but this man is, please let me just say something. I have been in this town since 1964. I know what's going on in this town. I was on the town board when we had a fight to get what we wanted. Now, you're wanting, we bought Worthington, when they bought that property originally. We told them, no, you're not going to build on it. So they built across the street, they were hurting us. Well, they didn't hurt us. They got that property. You're wanting us, according to the letter that was passed around our homes, that this data center is going to be putting out noise that we had to put up with when they put across on 20 or on 149 there, that magnetic part.
I completely understand where you're coming from. I can't. There's a process since outlined by our town.
Since you're on the town board before, you know, there's a process and procedures for a public hearing. And though you don't want to follow that, can we at least have your name and address for the minutes, please?
Got my yellow to you.
Well, then you need to, if you want this commission to consider your comments.
All I'm saying is,
So you don't want to give your name,
yes, my name is Phyllis Constantine, I live on Haglund Road.
address?
252 Haglund Road.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out. But I'm telling you,
It's not when you give the number.
trying to take away what we fought for many, many years. Like I said, since 1964, our parents, they fought for it. To keep us where we didn't have a lot of stuff. God forbid they asked us to take a man today, touches. That's the reason that we have still got in. So all I'm saying is, you're wanting us to listen to this man that's walking in circles, telling us, oh, we want a 50-foot eastway. That property is sitting empty and it's not hurting anybody. But it will, when you start putting stuff in here, it's gonna make noise, it's gonna hurt us. And everything else, that's all I'm saying is, look at the whole picture, not just what this man's trying to sell you.
That's why, hold on. If you guys give me a second, I'm gonna get to public comment here real quickly, but I'm trying to summarize that and get there right now. That way everybody has an opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Gordon, do you have anything else before we open this up to public comment that you wanted to
It's the way
specifically speak?
reiterating. The 300 feet would be nice, but I have no way going for this special district 8 that they have designed to give to us. Once again, doing that.
Who's going, Lord?
Because in regards to the SD8, as you look at the permitted uses, and is there any other thing in there besides, like, I don't love the light industrial? Is it light industrial that shows permitted? I don't love that. I don't love that it rubber stamps that, I mean, I get that they weren't even concerned about the office building, that it was put in there for potentially multi-use, but I don't like that.
The industrial light's gotta go. I'm not agreeing with this, that's gotta go.
But are we
That's
also,
gonna get Wellington right across that street.
but the other thing is the office building,
Too high. I don't care what that building is, it's too tall.
because that,
We don't
that's
have,
not permitted.
no fire protection, no fire equipment, what's to be required for a fireman? That they don't currently have, but that fire could be in that building.
Is there anything else that you specifically have a problem with those in the two?
What is shelf storage? That's the big lithium backup batteries for this, all this equipment?
I don't know, we'd have to look at the definition,
Yeah.
but that's already.
That's.
Okay, if nobody else has anything from this board, we're gonna move to all the time.
Comments in favor.
Yeah, and, I'm getting there, I'm just making sure that they were all. Okay. All right, I'm sure this first part will go really quick, it sounds like, is public comment first in favor, anybody that wants to speak up in favor. I would need your name, address, you have 2 minutes to speak. You know where I'm at, Dan, for questions. And once we get all the comments, then we'll get into potential development, but Jill, do we have a list from signage?
Yes. Would you like it?
Yeah, I would love to.
Should we pass it down? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alright, so now what everybody apparently has been waiting for, public comment. Second, in opposition. And what I'd like to do is I want everybody to have an opportunity to talk, whether or not you signed the sheet or not, but I'd like to start with people that signed the sheet. Assuming that they're all here and available, the first one I have on here is Terry Davis from 1217 Stanley Street. Would you like to stand up?
I would like to speak, but I would like to allow Ed Orlando to go in my place and I'll just switch places with him on this.
Absolutely. Mr. Orlando, 1149 Gustafson? Okay, absolutely.
Well, I feel a lot better knowing that you guys are on our side. I really appreciate the time and, I do disagree with some of you guys up there, and I'm gonna give you some of my viewpoints. Right, first off, the petition that Tommy gave you, unfortunately, put you in a bad spot. The first thing I talk about is there will be no negative impacts which can negatively impact property values or other properties. The proposed use will in no measurable way alter the essential character of the locality and will provide for an orderly growth and development of this town. The proposed use will allow the subject parcel to be used in the best economical and practical way without frustrating or infringing on the use or enjoyment of neighboring properties. If you guys see some of these pictures that I can hand you later, I think if you have a 50-foot setback with 120-foot buildings, I think that's the definition of frustrating and infringing on the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties.
Exactly. Thank you.
Some of the other studies I've been looking at, I've been doing a lot of research, you guys probably got something else. I appreciate your patience and I apologize for making you guys the enemy when, it seemed like a problem was. So I appreciate that you guys are on our side and you guys are some smart individuals out there. We got some smart guys doing a good job. Well, as far as the setbacks, I've seen some towns now have up to 500 feet setbacks, up to 1,000. Because of the police logos and all that stuff. So I would recommend 500,000, even 60-foot tall buildings is still gonna be a huge nuisance. If you add in the light, once you have the light, pollution, the noise pollution, the odor, the environmental issues. We didn't even get into the local jobs, which everybody wants to talk about jobs, but how many are actually gonna come from Burns Harbor? We're gonna talk about, this thing's gonna have high fences, tough security. Very little taxes are actually gonna filter back down to Burns Harbor. The decibel levels weren't even talked about in the petition. Some of them set them at 45 decibels at night, some of them set it at 50 during the day, which is much less than what these things will actually give off. And that's all I got. I appreciate you guys. I apologize if you felt like we got ramped up in the beginning, but I feel like everybody's gonna be professional today and bring up some good points that I haven't brought up, so I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Or are you giving up your, are
I'm
you
not
talking?
a speaker, so may not come out the way I wanted to. I have a lot of concerns, obviously, the amount of electricity and water being used and how that will affect our grid and our services. And if those services have to be upgraded, we, the customers have to pay for the upgrades. Another thing that I worry about is, I could give you a sad story. My husband passed away 6 years ago. I had to downsize. I've been in the Dillon community since 1984. When he passed away, I moved my kids here to Burns Harbor so they could stay in the Dillon school system. Something that was important to me was the little community area. I know we're on Stanley Street. We have the lake there. We have the nice open grass. And should it become a neighborhood, okay. But that was the residential area when I purchased my house. And you have to look at the bigger picture. This is an industrial town. It's all industry. We have no little downtown shops and things like that. It's big, ugly businesses. We have a very small amount of residential area that we can call our home community. By building on this stuff, you are neglecting of us, of any community we have left and making us nothing. If that's what happened, we're gonna turn into nothing because we're not important. It tells you that we're not important as a community. So that's all I have to say.
Bill Herring? Yes. 1232 Capitol Street? Yeah. I've been on planning commissions in both coasts and in Ohio. Understand what you're going through. I find this very backwards. They have proposals for how to design a zone being basically foisted on you, and then you trying to figure out how to manage it. I mean, you've already given a half a dozen examples of why this is good. The least of which is a 75-foot ladder truck to handle a 120-foot building. The other thing is a 120-foot building. I don't care what you make it out of, but most of this stuff is going to be utilitarian looking. It's not an office building or a business campus like a corporate headquarters. This is a very utilitarian purpose. They're also worried about security, so it's going to be very plain Jane. They don't want public pouring through. They're going to have fences. They're going to have security lighting on every night for every day of the year. On a 120-foot building, right? The trees around there are not going to block that for castles for Jackie Tuttle. So right away, 120 feet, I think, should be off the table. Period. And if they want to sit back and try to play games with setback and so forth, when I look at that, it's setbacks of rear yards of 15, frontage of 50, and all like it's a house. This is an industrial kind of a thing. And it's unique. And I understand your point about don't try to make it something that's broader and then have other people take advantage of it. You want to make it SDA, go for it. But make your SDA practical for where it is and how it's going to operate. And I think anything over 60 feet is already pushing the limit. Because you're going to see it, and you got a beautiful park down there, and you're going to ruin it. Because right across the road, if you have a 120-foot building with a 50-foot setback, do the math on it. 120 feet, 50-foot setback, 50-foot wide road, it falls over and hits you while you're still in the park. Think about it. That's just outlandish. That's just not something that belongs anywhere near the residential area. It's your beautiful park. Thank you.
That's me. Thank you. I have lived in the town of Riverside for 7 days.
It's usually not like this.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna come there every once in a while. I think that the special use center is totally unnecessary. There are plenty of other practical applications for that residential, zoned residential that could be more beneficial. They threw these people out of Chester. They're throwing them out all over the place. They're preying on smaller communities. You prepared an ordinance just for this. This was either much longer in play than I was led to believe, or this is hurry up and wait. Wait till you see the list of their variance requests that are going to go to the BZA after this work. I got to tell you, the people who have said there's not going to be enough tax revenue to make it worthwhile, that the noise and light pollution and all this kind of stuff, you're basically making a mistake. The town is being played. This is not green. This is not green, and it's not going down. Thank you.
To the end. Okay, sorry, I missed Annette Hanson anyway, so Annette Hanson, sorry.
Okay, I'm at 218 West Dunes Highway, so I'm right there on 12. I've lived in the community about 30 years. I'm a conservationist, scientist and artist at heart. And when I think about this whole thing happening, of course, I think about all the noise that's really going to be a drag and, you know, the CO2 emissions and possible refrigerant in the water, all the things that we've all saw in videos, et cetera. Migrating birds, we're so close to the national park, all the things, and I think we can all raise our hands, all the things that we love about our community. Animals, you know, the birds, bats, we're already facing an apocalypse of insects, and that's just gonna drag it down farther and harder. Light pollution is a huge drive with that. So I just want to have you guys remember, I like the Lorax over here, you know? I want you to remember that it's not just humans that are inconvenienced, but all of the creatures as well.
Name's Barry Mansell, my home at 1245 Holland Street is one of those within 300 feet of the subject property. In my career as a civil engineer, I developed a great respect for members of school boards, city councils, zoning commissions, and other civic-minded individuals who serve their communities. I also understand the ongoing need for construction of infrastructure to support our current lifestyle. This plan commission has a very important decision before. I don't have to tell you that. And you only have one chance to get it right. Petition before the plan commission has several disingenuous statements. Let's talk about paragraph 7.b. Quote, the proposed use will in no way alter the essential character of the locality. End quote. Yes, there is a railroad right of way on the north side of this parcel, but on the other side of the tracks is the Indiana Dunes National Park and the Little Calumet River. And while Worthington Steel is on the east side, so is the beautiful and fragile Menoke Prairie section of the national park. On the south and west side are quiet residential neighborhoods like mine, as well as Lakeland Park and Marquette Greenway bike path, which are cheering of this town. Of course, Polar Data Center will alter the essential character of the area. A previous plan commission designated the subject area for residential development, determining that that was the best use for this locality, not industrial facilities. There are many other areas in Northwest Indiana already zoned with such uses as this proposed data center. It is true that Burns Harbor became a town because of the steel mill, but further industrialization is not the only option before this commission. And does not have to be your legacy to the community you serve. Thank you.
Hi, Bob Hicks, 1141 Citizen Drive. Landing. I just want to thank you all of you, thank you for being here, and everybody participating. So many people have said things that was already on my list. Question I had to do with taxes. I believe that the amount that Burns Harbor could actually collect from taxes is already capped at 4%. So during the July 8th meeting, it was mentioned by the attorney that we would receive enough revenue to build one elementary school a year. I did not see that as possible, and I just wanted to bring it up on the table to say we ain't gonna get anything. There is no financial incentive, and if there is, I would love to hear what it is. That's all.
Cassidy? Oh, she's outside.
Call her.
Yep.
She's not out there anymore.
And Kim,
Yep.
thank you.
I'm gonna stand. Current resident of 1220 Scanlon Street, moved to this area. Well, I've been in Northwest Indiana my whole life. I've lived in East Chicago. I'm very familiar with industrial. And I don't understand why they're focused so much on this area. Why not Gary? There's abandoned buildings. It's a mess. I love Lakeland Park. I walk my dog every day 3 to 4 times. I'm worried about that, the environmental impact that it has. Also, with that said, our water pressure is terrible. Yeah, and 5 years ago, it was great. Now it's going downhill. Let's get careful with that. And also the power that this is going to generate. Will they have enough power? If not, will they add to what's there? They're going to feel about that a little bit more. So I'm just worried about my neighbors, friends. I'd like to keep the community the way that it is.
I moved in thinking that was all considered residential and that should stay that way. I'm not opposed to homes or anything like that or residential for the community. Restaurants, churches, whatever we need, but not industrial. Oh.
No rezoning until a comprehensive full development plan is in place and overlooked by consultants from the town of Burns Harbor. This should be paid for by Providence. If Providence want to pay for this, you should tell them to go elsewhere and do business with somebody else. The other thing is, why are first responders being told that they do not want them involved in their fire protection? Who is going to maintain and test their fire systems? Electrical fires are a major issue as they give a bunch of smoke are really hard to put out. Why can't whoever wants to build this data center spend some of their money to help update our fire department? What are they afraid of? Are they afraid of some of their profits being not in their pocket? Why haven't we still seen a comprehensive plan of what they are trying to build? Before they.
So the next thing I can't read, you give 1236. 1234. I got a phone number that might start 327 area code. Starts, okay, I'm gonna go to the next, Ron Spear. I, 345 pound, well, it's 3273354.
He's not there.
Ron Spear.
Yep, that's me.
Hi, thank you.
Yep, so my name's Ron Spear. I do work with this down the road here, so I actually have a full list. You guys kind of check some of this stuff off. We'll talk to you a little bit about project management. Generally, when you have something of this nature, they do a feasibility study. They also engage stakeholders. Many times that companies tend to go into residential communities to see if they want to build something. They reach out to the community. I don't think that they have done that because they want to be accepted. They don't care about us. They want to do what they want to do, which is why they're looking for this rezone. The rezone is a broad span. That way it would open up the floodgate for other types of industrial. Also, there's also a thing called a benefits management plan that generally the project manager holds, right? So it's basically a list of pros and cons. I bet if you went actually through that, you would see that there are probably no pros to do it. I am for infrastructure. I am for having businesses with jobs and helping the community. But something like this, that's almost zero. If you live in Burns Harbor, you know that Cleveland Cliffs bought ArcelorMittal for basically free, right? That bill, that sale devalued Burns Harbor plant by $78 million, and our tax bills have all felt that. I doubt that any industrial complex that they decide to put there is going to offset that whatsoever. I don't think that we should even consider rezoning anything for something like that unless there's something in it for us. We don't have to. What's the on of us saying no? Nothing. We go on, that's the normal, this we did every day. So if there's nothing in it for us, I say we don't do it.
Mr. President, my comments are related to the rezoning, not to the creation of SB 8. Do I speak now or do you want me to? Go
Let's
ahead?
move that to the next one. Here, so to see it. I think it's pertinent to that. Jeff? Sure, sorry.
Mr. President, board, I've been a member of Burns Harbor for 20 years. I moved here in 2000. And I have firsthand knowledge about in the electrical industry and the Amazon that they built at the Ameriplex in Portage. I have firsthand knowledge about that building because there are only 3 people that work in that building. So I would like to go on record and have my name noted as I am against the data center for the town of Burns Harbor and for the people. The building that is at Ameriplex Complex has 500 security cameras. The fence can be hit by a 70-mile-an-hour semi and it will not penetrate. There are sensors in the asphalt over there. And I have firsthand knowledge of this because we were involved in a lot of this. So
basically what I'm trying to say is, I am against it, and I'd like my name put in the record as no pass. Thank you for your time.
That's us. Sorry. It's not much. It's much smaller. It's funny, take Helen Street. I think that in some ways we kind of need to defer because the initial, the purpose of today's meeting seems to be about a very basic rezoning component. And the difficulty that I have is that it's rezoning based on a building that it seems like there's a lot of conjecture about, but we don't exactly know how far back it's gonna be, how big it's gonna be, what the power usage is gonna be. So then people would draw from Google and doing a search. To be able to say whether or not to rezone the Worthington area, that property's been farmed and for sale for 20 years. So I don't see it turning into a residential area anytime soon, no one's bought it. But as to what goes on it, I think that seems to be the content for the next time. So sort of I'm important.
And the only other thing I wanted to interject is that there are 2 public hearings, so if you signed up and you really wanted to speak in both things, we're absolutely allowed. I mean, there's 2 separate public hearings, and you're here. Alan and Nancy Hammond.
Here's the back. 1470 Maximilian Drive in Chesterton, Indiana. And bottom line is, why we're here, my bride and I, is because we were against the data center in Chesterton, which if it would have been built, would have affected all of you. If it's approved here in Burns Harbor, it will still affect us.
Yeah.
Now, Gordon, I applaud you. It's zone residents. That's absolutely right. It's zone residents, leave it residents, okay?
Yes.
So the bottom line is then, Burns Harbor, Chesterton, and the other small community will not be affected by this, okay? In all reality, I don't know you guys, but I worked with Burns Harbor back in 2012 when you did your ADA transition plan. I was over here in Mercy, if any of you know where that is. And the bottom line is like, you guys did a lot of great work back with me in 2012. I trust you'll do the same thing for the people of Chesterton and the people of Burns Harbor. And thank you for coming to work.
George, I think it's slow. I could be wrong. 201 Fairchild.
There you are, I'm not thinking about it, already said, but I got one thing, one thing I'll say, moving there to the American Center, top 4 days.
So let's concentrate.
My father was on the first planning commission of the mountain. So that's sure I think I have the first little politics in my system since day one. We have worked very hard to make this town family oriented. When the village came in, we were worried. When all the different car dealerships came in, we were worried. So now we've got all kinds of auto dealerships on 20. We got a steel mill on 12. And now you're trying to let this other company slide in here like a snake.
Yeah.
And take our property, because the way I looked at it, I thought about it when I read that letter today. Again, it states that they're going to put it there. But what happens when that little bit of road gets, let's Canada Drive, when you go down that, if you put that there and Worthington's there, who's going to pay for the repairs of that street? The same people that are paying for it now, us, the citizens.
And I'm telling you right now, I have worked very hard in this town in different situations and supporting everyone when it's something for this town. I'm very Burns Harbor orientated. Gordon and I, many years ago on the board, we went toe to toe. But the thing of it is, we both had the same thing in mind, protect the people in our town. So all I'm asking is, she sitting down the road, bitch, go buy something stupid enough to believe.
I can't realize what I said for a minute. My son was a volunteer firefighter for Burns Harbor. He's now a firefighter for Cleveland Cliffs. When he first went over there a year and a half ago, he's been playing catch up and fire extinguishers and fire alarm systems that were not inspected over 3 years. Do we want that to happen here when they won't let our fire department into that building? No.
Next.
All right, I can.
It's okay.
Thank you.
We live in 1143 Weaver Way in the village since 2018. In Indiana, I lived all my life from East Chicago. So I was 2 blocks away from Inland Still for many years. I'm just concerned about the data center because it consumes 3.5 million gallons of water a day. That's equivalent to a small city's overall annual consumption. We already have Cleveland Cliffs using the water they need, which is, and they've been there forever. Inland Still's been there for, I don't know, 100 years. And the risks are the power outages for the data centers, the fires, and the extreme weather and the cyber attacks. So there's just a lot of risk, and being that close to residential people is not good.
Yeah, no.
I'm certain that not everybody that wanted to talk about this has signed this sheet. So I guess I'll start with the guy that I know his name, Dave Teeter. What's your address?
Thank you, Jeremy. 1157 Kim Drive, Burns Harbor. So the one thing I have learned in life is if you want to fight something, you have to come in with your facts, not your feelings. And a lot of what I'm hearing is feelings. Jeremy, you brought up a great point about fire truck, 75 feet. Now, how close do you have to be to a building to get 75 feet?
Pretty close.
Exactly. So you're gonna risk the cost of that machine to possibly be burned up to get close enough to do whatever it is you gotta do at 60 feet. It only leaves you 15 feet away from the building to really reach out. So there's already a major safety concern. And somebody just also brought up all of the fireworks stores we have in this area. What happens if this data center goes up because it's going up? Well, determining if you need to rezone, I would say absolutely not.
I'm giving my due for the record because she has 2 minutes. I need your name and your address.
Salt River, 1243 Castle Falls.
Can you spell your last name for me?
SAULSGIV in Victor ER.
And your address?
1243 Castle.
Thank you. Have it.
I've lived here for 38 years. I remember, and many of you probably do too, when they wanted to put a nuclear plant in our backyard. We spoke out, the people listened, the town listened, it didn't happen, and I'm proud of that. My backyard has trees, and then on the other side of the trees is where they plan on putting the shed. I was told 15 years ago, maybe it was, that they wanted to put all the streets together and some garbage trucks to make their routes and everything. The town agreed at that point because there was so much rebuttal of it that they would keep that area residential and not connect the streets and just leave us alone over there. We need our privacy. We moved here 38 years ago for that reason. Everybody has an acre of property. They enjoy their areas and you need to leave us alone. These people need to go home, find somewhere else.
Jim Constantine?
Yes, I'm Jim Constant, I live on 252 Atkins Road. Biggest thing that concerns me is apparently this has been in the works for a little while. Not one member of any board in this town has asked, does anybody on Atkins Road want to change our zoning? Have any of you asked us if we want to change our zoning? No answer? No, and on Atkins Road, wants it rezoned. We want to use it residential.
Anybody else who wants to speak? This was.
Sharon Hanson, 288 Riverside Drive. I've been in IT for over 30 years. I've been inside these data centers. Most of them are what they call LOFs, which means a lights out facility. So what you have are banks and banks of servers pulling in all kinds of water, all kinds of power. And you have a skeleton crew. So you might have 5 people, you might have 10 people, depending on how far out they build this thing. But board, you are being played big time.
Yes.
These data centers are not something that you really want to put here in West Harlem. Put them out there by I-65. The gentleman here is right. I mean, the lights, the security, the fences, the fact that the bats and the birds are going to run into this thing because they do keep those lights on 7 by 24. And that security is 7 by 24. And those servers don't stop. Those servers and everything run 7 by 24. And as far as the power is concerned, the data centers usually set up a contract. They'll set it up with NIPSCO that says that they have priority. They will have priority for power. They will have priority for water. And not only that, but once these suckers start running, but they tend to disperse a lot of humidity. So one of the things that you have to consider around that area is going to be the humidity that is going to create mold. Also, the lights are going to start killing the trees because the trees cannot handle a 7 by 24 light emitting capability that they have over there. That's why that place out on I-65 is so sterile. You can't have plants, they won't live. Yes. So like I said, you are being trained by Texas.
Yes.
Nobody on this board has ever seen a major electrical fire. I've seen a data center go up. It's not pretty. If they are not gonna allow us in there, who's gonna take care of their fire protection? Who's gonna inspect it? I mean, people are in those buildings, and when that thing goes up, it's toxic flames, it's toxic smoke, and they're trapped in that building. If you wanna have somebody's life on your hands, when people die in that building, no, thank you.
I, name and address, please.
Tom McCarthy, 1231 Stanley Street. I moved here about 2 years ago because this is a nice town, it's a nice residential area, it's quiet, so we got any kind of industrial property that takes away from just the general aesthetics and what everybody likes about that area. As far as like the data center and all the noise, like everybody, everybody has pets, they're hearing a lot more sensitive than any of us. They're everything, their beaches, stressing, their additional wildlife.
Deer that walk down the road.
Hello, Samantha Barron. I also live on 1231 Stanley. So there's 2 things I want to bring up. One, my mom has managed to maintain a position with Lakeland Park as one of your summer guards for 2 years now. And I feel like the potential of those jobs existing at all, if we introduce a data center, will just disappear because no one will be wanting to go to the park because they have to deal with an eyesore. But there's something more pressing I would like to bring up, and our friend that worked in IT brought this up earlier, is they're pressuring you and predating you. Why haven't they gone to an established industrial area? Is it possible that what they're trying to do won't lie with standards set in industrial areas? So they're trying to pressure you to create something unique for them, so they can move away from established practices. This is established for a reason. They're trying to predate on you because this is a small town, it's a small council. They're trying to take advantage of the pressure that they're creating, the speed at which they're creating it. And they're trying to take advantage of people who aren't informed about what goes on in these data centers. Now, we're all making steps to make sure we're informed, but I do think that something like this, we should have at least 2 years of prep time for. I know that's a ridiculous ask, given, you know, the way town civics are, but this is a huge change in what Burns Harbor would be. You're fired.
Two more. Sir.
Me?
Yeah.
My name is Joe Miller. I live at 1238 Castle Street. And I've been there about 7 years. I retired and moved to Burns Harbor. Bought a lovely home, an acre of ground. And like many people in this room, it's my biggest investment and my savings, and it's, you know, my, well, honor, either need here or after I'm gone. And the property down. Castle Street and many others, but I promise you, Castle and Home team are gonna disappear. I mean, they really will. Well, I just echo something else that several people said. Indiana is a big state with a lot of land, and why people feel like they've got to come in and put this within 300 feet of my property, less for people, you know, closer, although I'm gonna be hit by those lights. It makes no sense, and I hope the planning commission, you know, takes that into account. That's big, what is it, 300 or 400 acre, whatever it is, if you develop that into 1 acre lots of single family homes, you would, it's much more. It just seems like, you know, you're elected or appointed to make decisions for us. And I would hope that you guys would carefully think about what this is gonna do to the town.
I'm sorry, sir, I will get you next. I was looking at that gentleman back there, but I promise I'll get you next. Your name and address.
Ray Thompson, Skylar Drive. And I haven't heard one thing here that sold me or anybody else on the solar field.
Yeah,
Now, one thing that sold me, that's sells it. You talk about a guy that's up here with a mask on, talking about CDC recommendation, it's all that out. It has nothing to do with this. So. When you sold, there's no sale here. I'm not talking about the used car sale.
Your name and address.
My name is Gary Brown. It's not Johnson, as they said in the newspaper. All right, get from the president of the Isaac Walton League of Porter County. I came here to be educated. We all pledge allegiance to the flag. Let me tell you, this town council listens. This is not Chesterton. Holy cow, did I lose the difference tonight? I know it was a struggle, and we got so emotional. If you had seen the first meeting of the Chesterton Group dog with Park, you'd think somebody was ready to throw a bomb. And it got worse and worse, and because they treated it that way, it bloomed like never before. They went from 300 home signs to 750 in 2 weeks. You're doing it the right way. I congratulate you. I'm using up my 2 minutes. Is it a boon or a boondoggle? You do not have enough information. Chesterton had tons of information and they did not tell people
And as it trickled out, it made them look like they treated people like fools. Secrecy begets rumors. Less information, more public outcry. This is critical. Otherwise, you'll have twice as many people at your next meeting, but you're handling it well. Our chapter fought the no banquet center at the Dune State Park. It still continues. The public doesn't know. They are still trying to put condos, boat races, and brewfest in the parking lot at the state park. I told Chesterland the main reason they picked their town was 4 things. I'm going to repeat it here. Water, 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 and water.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a tremendous grid from across this part of Indiana. What are you going to do with the water? How are they going to use it? Where is it going to go? If you remember the old nuclear plant, it wasn't the nuclear radiation. It was all that thermal water going back in the Lake Michigan. That's what killed the plant.
We already have that.
And I can tell you right now, I'm in calls to the EPA District 5, the branch manager for wetlands. I'm to call them tomorrow to let them know what happens at this meeting. I'm also in contact with Dunes National Park, who unfortunately is breaking in a new superintendent. I'm supposed to call them tomorrow because they want to know what's going on in the process. They are in the target zone, the nearest target zone, up to 1.5 to 2.5 miles. The person that was within 1,000 feet, good luck. Get your life insurance ready. Because there's more data coming from Virginia. When they had a supermajority there, I don't care which party, they do some goofy things for business. They have more data banks in Loudoun County, Virginia, than in any other place in the world. And it's too late to get regulations for it because the money is flowing for lobbyists, big money. They forgot to put clauses in about penalties. Penalties.
Sir, I just want you to hit your.
My last point.
You agree?
The way this guy described this thing, they're building a prison, just like this other one testified, not to keep people out of the prison, to keep people out of their property. It's a reverse prison. Virginia, well, I already told you about it. The target zone, I already told you about that. Worthington Steel, they don't know what this is yet. We've talked to them. This was done by International. They're probably getting a good price for that land. I have pretty good guess. They have no idea what they're going to put their workers through to live so close to the data bank. There are so many studies that haven't finished yet on the toxicity of low-level frequencies, not just the noise, and how it affects wildlife and the people that are the youngest and the oldest. And not all those studies are out yet. So the priority for putting them back online is not just because they're big users, because they say all this is good for national defense and they're wrapped in that umbrella. Why they would get powered after the down thing. The more you research, the better you will look. Thank you for your time.
Ma'am.
Well, I just want to say, I mean, everybody's in on about myself, but the devil's in the detail. That's what I usually look at. And when they try to get in at Nebraska, they give a lot more information than once. Now they scale back, but not to anything. They're giving for what they're doing here. Oh, we might put it here, but then we gotta see if we can do the pipeline. If we can't move the pipeline, it might go another spot. Everything they have is, that they gave over there, they're not gonna give, was the goal, the plan. That's not a, like somebody else was talking about business plans. It's not how you do it. So the goal, what happens when they don't meet that goal, the goal of the decibels that it lets out? That was my first thought. So the goal is, but then what happens when it doesn't hit that? They'd rather just pay a fine because they're gonna be making billions of dollars. Any type of fine isn't gonna matter. So I just think that it's the other thing is it's ludicrous that they had any part in making that number 8 rezoning district. I don't understand why they're the ones that are coming for it. That seems like something that would be done by the board, by the experts in the field, by the lawyers. that are part of Burns Harbor. Not that Providence have any part in making rules that they want to follow.
That's right.
They don't care, they put buildings, they don't like anything bigger than 3. I mean, I don't understand how, it just all seems backwards.
I'm Nancy Lane Stout, I'm at 209 Trail Creek. Heard a lot of people talk about what's gonna happen to the data center that goes up in flames, but I've not heard anybody concerned about people with backyards are gonna flood. On this one, we don't even have equipment for the data center. Do we have enough equipment for the citizens? I think not.
That was kind of like what
Other thing I would bring up, what about?
You've spoken like 3 or 4 times.
What about lightning strikes? What about lightning strikes a data center? We haven't addressed that issue either. We have residential homes in that
Is
area.
there anybody else that wants to speak? I want to make sure that. You have, I'm sorry.
My name is Cheryl Army. I live at 258 Big Glen Road. I would like to know who is going to pay for all the roads and everything that's going to have to go in there. How does the traffic, because of the subdivisions, we have more traffic on the Hageland end. So how are you going to cope with that?
That's crazy busy.
I mean, where are you gonna dump all that traffic on 20, 149, which is already? And you can't put a stoplight there on Babcock and 20 because of the ring for 94. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you pay attention or if the police are paying attention, but England Road is like 50 miles an hour. And on weekends are horrible. So you're just adding more traffic. It's a residential area that doesn't need to be.
To add to what you were saying, I'm
Yeah, you
Sarah
can- yeah, you
Jenkins,
can-
Sarah Jenkins, 273 Lake Park Road. Just to add on to what she was saying is we use that road for everything. That's our in and out for all of our streets that live in. They're on that contact, fairly, gas will go, that we all go in out there. No other way. If your traffic is coming through. It's during our newly paved road, that we just got it. That disrupts us every single day, the school just starting, things, there's lots of concerns. That is our avenue to get to our park. Besides the park being disrupted, that's our only way to get to it. So that changes the safety issue for everybody going to walk their dog, to get to the park with their kids, to ride their bikes, to get to the trail that we just revamped over here. That girl. So if you're continuing the trail here, we don't have any other safe avenues. We have 149, we have 20, we have 94. We have no other ways to get to any of these things that you guys have been working hard to put through for the community. So that's a big part of what would affect all of us as well going forward.
I'm trying to make sure that we can, I mean, we've got an entire another public hearing, so we've already talked.
I need just a quick statement.
Go for it.
So we've heard why it's not a good safety reason, for safety reasons. We've heard why it's not good culturally. We've heard why it's not good for construction or for the wildlife. We've heard environmentally. What we haven't heard is why it's a good idea. Yeah, we have not heard anything that is going to support what this would do for us, the community. Like, we can justify anything from any angle, but we have to look at the important one as a community. What would it do for us? And so far, I have heard nothing to benefit the community. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm done. First comment, I got the second. Quickly.
Name's Kira Davis, 1217 Stanley Street. I just want the board to keep something in mind. You have to ask why they're coming to a small community like Burns Harbor. These are multi-million-dollar companies that have lawyers up the butt. Sorry to say it, but what you don't understand is they already have their loopholes and their ideas, and they're getting small towns because they don't have a lot of experience in this. What's gonna happen is they're gonna come in and all of a sudden their big lawyers are gonna get all these loopholes in, and then all this other stuff's gonna happen. Yeah, we didn't think would happen. And lastly, I would like to say, do we even know anything about the company that wants to build this facility? If they're experienced in it, you know, you have to think about that. That's a big electrical facility. What is their experience in it? Just because they're building it doesn't mean it's safe if they're not running it. So just keep those things in mind.
Sam Street. Are you guys on the board? All you gentlemen and ladies, are you all on the board?
So we are on the plan commission.
Plan commission, that's right. So, who came in first with this idea? And why did you think that might be a good idea for our town? Yeah. Just curious. Stand up and say why you think this is a great idea.
Answer the question.
The board doesn't have a position.
The board doesn't offer something you can't, you are not.
I'm trying to right now.
All right, go ahead.
The board doesn't have a position. When someone comes to the community and files a petition, we have due process. So they file a petition, we have a hearing. Notice is sent. So the board is taking information from the petitioner and hearing public comments for and against. So this board, the plan commission, the 6 members present and the 7th member who's online with Van Bozak are here to hear your thoughts, hear the thoughts of the petition. That's how it works. They come and they file the petition. We send it right here.
My only other rebuttal that I would say to that is there were several allegations that these boards had already greenlit and passed this, and that we weren't interested in hearing or listening to anybody. But if we wouldn't have had this public hearing, and let's say we just blatantly denied it, we never offered anybody the opportunity for the input, and that would be making decisions behind closed doors, and that's not what we're doing. That's why there's a public hearing. I'm glad you're all here speaking, because if nobody showed up, it's seriously is left to us. And I don't know what the outcome would be, but clearly there's a support in a certain direction here tonight. And if you think you're not heard, you're wrong. And if you're gonna talk, I do need your name. Okay.
So then, because I don't know how all this works. So Providence then came up with the special number 8 and designed it all themselves. And gave it to you, or so who did they collaborate with, or they were on their own? They figured that out themselves.
For the special zoning.
We didn't have it.
So absolutely, so this was presented to us. Ultimately, this ordinance, if it were to be adopted, okay, it would be our town's ordinance. However, keep in mind that anything in there, that's why we're having a public hearing. If there's things that, like, that is under our full control to change anything from it. If we said, you know what, we would like this and we would like to have a maximum building height of 2 feet. We could literally adopt it and say that it was 2 feet. I mean, I'm giving something.
No.
But what I'm saying is, we have input to this, but we're also here hearing your input to it.
But to clarify the process, the planning commission makes a recommendation to the town council. The town council has ultimate authority to enact any ordinances and to make any changes, town code, or to zoning classifications. So this board is just makes a recommendation.
Because we are in an advisory board.
Are you elected?
I am not,
You've been elected,
no.
so who picks you guys?
Yeah, wow.
It's just, you know, I'm taking the town council.
Yeah.
Well, it should help you know who's on our side, who's not on our side, who
I
cares.
guess that's what we wanna know, what do you guys think? We wanna know where you're at.
We'll go here really quick, but we're gonna finish the public hearing. Anybody else that hasn't spoken? Okay. At this point, we had a lot of questions that were proposed in regards to the data center. Is there anything that Providence would like to offer in rebuttal or answer any of those questions that were proposed?
So,
Because there were a lot of concerns, not necessarily all towards the data center, but as far as the zoning, but obviously a lot of concerns about the data center as well.
the process is unfortunate because we can't ask to be rezoned to something that doesn't exist. So creating the special use district is logically first, and then our petition asking to go into that zone makes sense to come next. What I suggest is maybe we've conducted a public hearing. You could defer action on the petition to create the zoning district. And then allow us to have the hearing in our presentation, and you'll see some of the detail of the data set. I guarantee these folks aren't gonna like all of the things.
Mr. President, once again, you're putting your data center ahead of what we're discussing right now. We're talking about rezoning, not your data center. Rezoning.
Well, but I think there was a lot of discussion during the hearing, sir, that suggested that the data center didn't have any detail. And I'm suggesting if we go forward, you, the members of the planning commission, will have some of that detail.
Well, it should already have it.
The only thing I would add to this is, if everybody is looking at the process that happened in Chesterton compared to the process here, I do want to caution you that a planned unit development, which is what was proposed in Chesterton, includes a site plan right there. Okay, this process, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, I'm just trying to outline this. That this process is potentially, what they're seeking is for the town to adopt a zone that would fit a data center. Then rezone that property. Now, I'm trying to explain, okay? And then the process after that, if that all happens, then there are preliminary site plan reviews. There are formal site plan reviews. There's a lot of other steps in that process. But that's why you guys don't have a plan sitting in front of you that says, this is what it's gonna look like, and this is exactly what it's gonna be, as far as that. But that is, I want to say that it doesn't matter if somebody else was doing this, that's exactly what it would look like if you were trying to build a house in an RC2 today. That I wouldn't necessarily need a site plan in front of you. I need to make sure that if we were talking about zoning, that's what we'd be talking about. We wouldn't be looking at a site plan. So it's equal treatment under that. And as far as why we're here today, they submitted their application was in order, they're entitled to have a public hearing. We're here. So, on that, if you guys have nothing else to add as far as that.
Yeah. Yeah, tell them that, probably the working on.
So on that note, this will hear. Sir, I've spoken 3 times, like.
We still haven't seen a plan of what they want to do.
He just explained why there's no plan.
Public hearing. Okay.
Well, who gave you that word?
Here's, like, we're all clear on our, like, there's 3 separate options.
It's not over.
Just because the public hearing is still, the meeting is not over. We still have another public hearing afterwards. So, but right now, we're trying to conduct our business. So. That being said, with everything that we have in regards to the zoning ordinance. Okay, there's potentially somebody can make a motion, one, to adopt it. One, to forward it with, or I shouldn't say adopt it, one to give a favorable recommendation, one to give a non-favorable recommendation. And the third option would be continue the public hearing. Because obviously there was a lot of stuff in the ordinance that I, for one, we talked about setbacks, building heights, permitted uses that were listed. My thought is I'm not comfortable adopting this ordinance as it sits, for certain, I think we're all clear on that. But if anyone wants to make a motion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we continue. No, sir.
Any discussion amongst the board? Roll call, Joe.
Roseanne Bozak,
I'm sorry, I could not hear exactly what Gordon's words were.
Continue the public hearing.
Thank you. Yes.
Travis Dunlap, Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. Does anyone have questions with the chat? Okay, I'm just gonna briefly, I'm not gonna answer questions, but I will explain what just happened.
It's a little question.
No.
I understand what that means. At this point that you have just.
What's that? No. So
Zoning change.
I have a few questions about, and that's, I guess my personal thing is,
My question is, you could.
could we, potentially, if somebody would have made that motion, yes. Well, it the town council. That's fine. Well, my understanding is that a non-favorable recommendation would have been given, then the petitioner could then ask the town council to still. Yes, for our town code.
So you take it, you take it.
But. Yes, but if you look at our town code still, there's a few other things that are there, and I think that's why, no matter what, how this happens. I think there's a point where. Regardless of what happens with that piece of property, okay, if you look at our town code, we have a special use district 7. Okay, which is not permitted in any area of our town. I will leave that for you to look up and understand why that specific district is not allowed. But there's a district that's allowed in code, there's just no place on the map permitted anywhere. So if we address data centers today. Okay, like if this zoning district gets adopted regardless, eventually. That doesn't mean that a property has to be rezoned to it. So either way, we're doing the work, if we're gonna say, hey, you know what? Maybe we consider it at this height, maybe we consider it in this, maybe we want these setbacks, we have all your opinions now. So if we did something like that, and I'm not saying it will happen, but wouldn't we wanna know what it is? As opposed to somebody just going to the Board of Zoning Appeals and say, I'm industrial, I wanna put a data center in and go through the BZA and then they can allow it, potentially.
You know what passed the zoning.
Right. I'm not saying it's happening, I'm just saying that there will be a continuation of this public hearing at next month for this part of it. Now, we're gonna have a second public hearing, I'm getting ready to open. That is about, which obviously could not be. A favorable recommendation could not result from this because there is no zone that there, somebody to change to it right now because the first thing didn't get a favorable recommendation. Okay, so regardless of what happens tonight. When we leave here, that property will not be rezoned to SD 8 regardless tonight. There's no possible way. So.
And there will be public.
But we're getting ready to open public hearing right now. So right now, I'm taking you on.
Tonight, you're gonna get together and discuss it with the board.
If it, assuming this all continues, we'll be back September 11th. Sorry, my bad. That was another board day.
The public will be invited to another meeting.
On the public meeting. Yeah, it's, right now, I'm already telling you that this first one, that public hearing will be continued on September 9th in regard to the zoning district.
And just to clarify, the public is invited to all town meetings. We would love to see you there.
And look on in local media, look online and look at town website for the location of that, so we can get a larger location. There's precedent for town meeting, and I believe an RDC meeting to be held at 67, 87 Union Colleges. I think on the other side of the conference.
Is the next meeting the second or the ninth?
Here, one comment about the Union Hall, and then it would be parking.
Is that a real thing? It's not managed.
So that only happens. So if you're talking about like, the town council, whatever it takes steps, you don't have to have a favorable recommendation from us first. Or something like that.
So this one's just like, this thing drags on, it's not gonna automatically.
No, absolutely not. It still has to have a determination from this board.
Is there a meeting on the 14th of August?
That's a town council.
All right, did that have anything to do with this?
There will be. So I think we're all understanding that with the zoning district not being approved or a favorable recommendation, that they're seeking rezoning to that district that we didn't approve. So no, the town council won't have a decision that they can make in regards to this regardless.
So we don't need to be there.
Well, you can stop.
Not here the council agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but it's an open, it's well. Yeah, that's the yeah. We will not take it under consideration at the August 14th. Okay. I'll say it. On that note, I do have another public hearing. Well, I'm open that public hearing. Same rules as we spoke before. And then at that point in time.
Given the plan commission's lacking any recommendations on the zoning district, I think that the best course of action would be to defer the hearing on our rezoning until such time as there is an action on the zoning district.
Okay.
So we would respectfully request that our public hearing be continued until September 9th.
Okay, with that, I guess my question is this. I had a lot of outpour of people asking me to, or demanding that we delay this public hearing from the giddy up. And my concern with that was any delay of this, the only thing that did was slow down getting information to the public. So with that, do you have any more information that we can disseminate to the public in regards to this? So that they can get information that you want to provide so that they can maybe be a little bit more prepared with the specifics that what you guys are proposing. I'm not saying that you have to, I mean, I understand that you guys want to give your presentation, but if you can get material that we can disseminate over the next month, that may be helpful for these people to get either an understanding, answer questions, and or be prepared. Now, I mean, if you don't want to, we'll be here again.
So, you need to come prior to the day of the meeting. Okay? The information.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, I was just, I mean, obviously they have a big presentation and I should have time, but can we get some information out to them?
Here's one of the concerns. We do have a concept plan. When we were at the pre-hearing in July, we were asked to come with a concept plan. And concept plans are just that. They're what could be. It's an illustration, but it's not engineered, and we don't have any hard detail as to how many buildings we're going to have, but we have a layout that, again, could be what it is. The problem is that that concept plan anticipates the development standards in your proposed SDA.
Yeah.
So if you change those development standards, our concept plan has to change to.
Well, it's not our proposal, it was your proposal.
It's-
For SDA.
I disagree with
I
that.
am, well, you can have, who drew the SDA proposal?
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Big question here, you working for us, for him?
Yeah.
I take offense to that, Gordon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And with,
Was there another attorney involved representing him?
with other town officials, I was met with and was directed by other town officials and.
All the money, all the problems.
So.
You guys are being terrible, terrible. Like,
Hey, guys.
I think Roseanne Bozak is on the plan commission and town council is trying to speak.
can we please just take a minute to listen to each other and not argue with each other? The things that I have read and seen on Facebook are terrible, terrible. And I will say I have been part of the town board for 10 plus years now, and we had open seats in this past year on several boards where we are begging people to sit on boards. People need to come forward and help the town, not just when they oppose things. This is why arguments are constantly getting heated, because nobody cares unless it's something that makes them mad. We had a town picnic last year. We had 3 people in attendance. 3. The town spent money to come together as a community, which all of you are talking about now, and nobody comes together when it's for good. People only want to come to argue. Let's be kind to each other. There is a process of things. Part of that process is that I have the floor. That's my right as a citizen. I have the floor. I sat here. I'm on my family vacation in Tennessee. I missed my son's birthday party today to be here to listen because I care about what everybody in this room has to say. So can we please just settle down?
No, and for sure.
Well, and I just want to reiterate, Gordon, you and I met with people from Providence, so don't act like that you weren't involved in.
That is 100% correct. 100% correct.
I know,
Gordon
but
with me.
we were both there and we had conversations, so don't act like you weren't involved.
So at this,
Go ahead.
we're not having public comment right now. I'm just trying to proceed here. This is what I'm gonna say though, we know that this can't be adopted tonight. They're requesting to move to continue the public hearing. Obviously, it's gonna be subject to what happens with the zoning ordinance. So at that point, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing if somebody wanted to make that.
I'll make that.
Okay, Bernie. Travis, any discussion? Roll call, yes.
Yeah, we do. Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak. Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes.
Is she actually? She was.
Oh, here's-
Really appreciate your time and consideration. I know this is a tough matter for everyone. We look forward to returning to such a.
Thank you. Nothing new.
Related on this public hearing or not?
Hey, folks, I have something else to say. Hey, hold up. I was not around for the meeting in July, I had a camping group, my daughter's kids. That wasn't your mess. I am Chairman Bennett, it wasn't a secret meeting, we're literally what we can do with people. Because I, Jeremy, our attorney, and was 3 people on the phone on a video call. And I gave my opinion pretty to the point, okay, about this. I had no secret meetings, none. And there was no secret meeting as far as I know. None. And I know a lot of you know, I may not be the best speaker there is, but there's 7 of us with 7 different opinions. And we all express things differently. I don't hold that. I should, but I don't.
Northern, my name is Northern.
I tried to run for council. I waited until the last days, that was my mistake. And the Republican person in the county said, nah, don't have time. So.
You're doing a great
And
job.
I waited until the last days, and I said medical issues before that.
Keep fighting. So I got some questions. So you're saying you had a part in this petition? Prepared.
We're in the order.
You're saying here, investigating the subject of both existing and future development of land use. Also, for comprehensive seeker, you have to permitted on all sides of the shop. Because of the sensitive nature of the information contained there, this facility is close to the broader public, and the secure campus. Any ordinance, this is important, any ordinance or provision of any ordinance of the town of Burns Harbor in conflict with the provision of any ordinance is hereby superseded by this ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect after its passage and approval by the town council for the town of Burns Harbor, and any publication may be required by law. I continue. There will be no negative impacts which could negatively impact property values or the properties. The increased assessed value of the site will be significant and will have a meaningful impact on the overall assessed value of the town. The proposed use will in no measurable way alter the essential character of the locality and will provide for an orderly growth and development in this town. The proposed use will allow for the subject parcel to be used in the best economical and practical way without frustrating or infringing on the use or enjoyment of neighboring properties. If this is your work and his work, then this is from the petition.
Right, so it's filled out by them, now.
Okay. But
That statement is.
Those are my, those are my.
Not by our attorney or anybody from the town of Burns Harbor.
Okay, I misspoke. And again, I appreciate we got some sharp individuals up here. I think some of the confusion in the beginning was the July 8th meeting that you guys had with Providence wasn't very well advertised. I don't know if you guys could have done a better job or not, but it's perception over reality sometimes. The other thing was, you knew how big this event was gonna be, and we're hoping for a bigger venue to have it. Maybe you guys couldn't have done it or could have done it, and I think that's where kind of these people's blood was. Because you guys knew how big this of an issue was in Chester, but it sounds like we're aligned here. I think if you guys need to continue it to protect yourselves and get aligned, so that we could basically just give a negative recommendation to the board. There's no way the board is gonna pass this. We need to move, I'm just worried about the timeline. I don't know if it gets delayed too much. The quicker you guys get this squashed, the better everybody's gonna. If it just keeps continuing, let these guys come up with concepts and no real information. They said, give us the leash and we'll run with it. They said on the July 8th meeting, we'll give you a concept design, but they have, okay, here we go, that's gonna be entertaining. We're gonna give you a concept design, no details. Even if we went above 20 feet of construction, it would be a dead deal in this town. So if you're uncomfortable, and then setbacks, we're gonna set them 1,500 feet. National park, maybe it's 2 miles. We got a lot of setbacks that we could employ that will basically say, you get this much piece of land to build a data center. Thank you. They already purchased the land.
No, I think there's a contingency between them.
I think we all need to go through this one.
Anything else from the board? Sir.
Yeah, just a quick question. So the purchase of the land, from what I'm understanding, is from Worthington Steel to Providence, contingent on the rezone. So once we rezone, what's to stop them from suing the town or the board if we try to get in the way to build anything that they want? Do we open ourselves to litigation? I'm not asking you to answer now, because I'm not a lawyer or anything, but once they have the permission to build something in the zone, and we have a problem with it, what's to stop them from just suing the town for them to get their way? So my point being, why I'm saying this, is that if you let the foot in the door with the rezone go, you give up a lot of your protection. The rezone is one of the only things that's protecting us. They're not even willing to buy the land. That's how unconfident they are that this would go through, or else they already would have purchased it. That's something to think about.
Providence has already got a buyer in Virginia, another realty company that wants to build that data center. So how are they profiting from this acquisition? All they want to do is get to rezoning, buy the land as cheap as they can get it, then jam us and sell it to Virginia, and they're the ones that never build a data center, they want to build the data center here. And they're that other company that's only established in 2021. What is their financial future? Do they have $1.3 billion to help build this data center? I don't think so.
And I enjoy my peace and quiet on Castle Street.
Second. Roll call, Jill.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins. Jordan McCormick,
Motion to adjourn. Sure. Absolutely.
Aaron Adcock.
Yes.
Bernie Paparad,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yeah.
You can-